Hey everyone, what's up? It's BQ and TW with another episode of the Cool Factor, #1 podcast for the Impact Wrestling fan here at the Impact Lounge. Last episode, we were really happy with the numbers, the feedback, the questions, everything. And so thank you so much. And thank you for all of you who are new listeners, whether you're just an Impact fan that stumbled across it or you're an AEW fan, because we got some of those as well. And now maybe you're transitioning over into liking the Impact product. So really cool. Really appreciate you. This is the #1 place to be for the Impact Wrestling fan. So if you're listening on YouTube, consider subscribing, giving this video a thumbs up. If you're listening on a streaming platform, hope to have you back each and every week that we do this. So I am BQ. He is TW. We're going to talk about the important parts of the show. And I think we're going to touch on some other parts throughout the show because I thought it was a good show. I wouldn't say there was a lot of like real buzzworthy, newsworthy parts outside of the Omega stuff, but we're going to hit on some of that stuff. And then I got a lot of fan listener supporter, whatever you want to call, a lot of listener questions and statements that we're going to get into at the end. So I try to hit pretty much all of you guys if it was possible, unless some of you ask the same question. You feel me? So we're going to do that. So like we do each and every week, we're going to jump into this. I'm not going to ask TW about his week. He's already told me that. Y'all don't want to hear it. It's not that entertaining. Trust me. So we're going to get into the episode of Impact. And we're going to talk about viewership and all that stuff. But the first thing I really want to ask you, TW, did you think that this episode, obviously there was new eyes on a product, did you think that this episode was a good representation of Impact? And I don't mean like I mean in a positive way, in a good way. Like there's some people who say, yeah, it's a good representation of a shit ass show. Negative people, you know what I mean? Those who want to be negative, they don't like it. But I mean, for us, and we criticize it good and bad every week, was this something that you were like, this was a good representation? If I was watching it for the first time, I would give it a chance next week.
I think so. Again, it's hard to say that if I was watching something for the first time, like if I would give it a chance again. I mean, I can't change the fact that I'm watching this through the eyes of someone who watches this show every week. But I can say I thought they put their best foot forward, right? Like right off the gate, right off the top, they come out with the Motor City Machine Guns in the North, two of their top acts. Then we get Chris Bay and Moose backstage. Then I think after that, there was a Hard to Kill promo that featured Rich Swann. And I'm like, yo, first 3 segments that you see is all the top acts. And I'm like, that's putting your best foot forward. And then another thing that I thought they did so well, that I thought they hit out of the park, was whoever curated the flashback moments that played on Twitch, masterful job. They picked big moments with hot crowds, and it was really dope. So if you're an AEW fan who was watching this product for the first time and just saying, oh man, I don't know if I can get into this because there's no fans, well then you go to commercial break, they hit you with the flashback on Twitch, and you're seeing big crowds, hot fans, big moments. And so I don't know, I thought it was actually really cool. I thought it actually served up, like I said, the best face of Impact. There was good wrestling matches. You got to see, Rosemary look dope. Taya look dope. And when I first started watching the show, I was thinking to myself, I wonder if the talent knew what was going to be happening in this episode when they taped it. And I feel like they definitely did, because I feel like everybody really put their best foot forward while taping this episode. So I thought it was a really good representation of Impact Wrestling. Now, that said, you're going to have some people who just don't like it, right? You're going to have people who just don't like it. I was listening to the Cheap Heat podcast with Peter Rosenberg, and, he just crapped all over Impact. But here's the thing, though, right? Here's the thing, is he didn't even crap on it from the standpoint of this wasn't logical, this wasn't good, this match wasn't blah, 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 blah. He just basically said, from the look of it, I could only last 5 minutes. I couldn't watch the show. He called it backyard wrestling, and why would AEW stoop so low to dirty their hands to get close to Impact? You are you're really pushing it. You're pushing it by asking me to take my precious WWE eyes and watch Impact Wrestling. How dare you, AEW? How dare you abuse my trust by putting on something that is not in front of fans? There's no fans there, and they don't shoot off fireworks when the guys come out. How could you do this to me? Right? So this is what I was listening to from the show. And when I first heard this, right, I was crafting an angry tweet in my head. And I was like, yo, wait, why do you care what this guy thinks? Which I don't. I'm not wired that way. I don't really care what other people think. But it's something about when somebody is crapping on something that you like, it like indirectly insults your taste. It insults your selection of liking that thing, right? So it feels like it's like a jab at you indirectly. So the natural reaction is to defend that you like it. You know, if someone could be just God offended that they would even have to lay eyes on it, right? Like, and here's the thing, right, that you guys got to know. And by the way, for every, crappy fan out there like that who thinks that they are too good to lay their eyes on Impact Wrestling, there are other, good quality podcasts out there. Like a perfect example is, if you guys know the Busted Open podcast, listen to the episode from yesterday, I believe it was, with Bully Ray on it. And he and the host, Don LaGreca, they talk about the show in an objective way. They're not butt kissing everything. They're talking about what they liked, what they didn't. And, they're begging Impact fans to call into their show and hype up the product, say what they like, say what they don't like. And so, yeah, so if you're looking for a more objective view on the product, then, listen to Busted Open Radio. But don't sit around waiting for these podcasters and these other internet fans to validate your fandom. You don't need them to like it in order for you to like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is plenty of an Impact Wrestling community all around. There's people in all countries who watch this show, who obviously watch the show, and they're all, they're out there, they're online, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're whatever. But like, stop waiting for other people to jump on board. There's plenty of people who watched Impact Wrestling for the first time on Tuesday night, and they loved it, and they're going to come back. And there's plenty of people who didn't like it. You know what I mean? And there's people who were indifferent. And there's people who are already watching 6 hours of wrestling a week and like, yo, I just don't have the bandwidth for another wrestling show. And that's fine, right? But if you like the show, keep on liking it. We're going to be here to break it down for you, to talk about it, and to interact with you. Everybody else, fuck them. That's
I saw
Fuggem. Fuck them.
I think I'll check that Busted Open. I actually don't listen to any wrestling podcast at all.
It's good. It's good for your brain
to not funny, listen to them. So I saw a Facebook comment. This was on Chris Jericho's Facebook. As you know, he doesn't really run it. He streams from it, but there's other people post all sorts of articles. So someone posted an article about the viewership and Twitch and everything. Mm-hmm. And one person said, I made it through 35 minutes of the show and I turned it off. And he didn't respond to me, but I responded to him. I said, I think you were looking for a reason not to watch, because if you watch 35 minutes, that means you watched Josh Alexander versus Chris Sabin.
Right.
And maybe they didn't go balls to wall that match, but I was like, that match is no different than something you'd see on Dynamite as far as the quality of the wrestling.
Right.
And then there was TJP and Brian Myers after that, which, people might have a preconceived notion about Brian Myers because he was a jobber in WWE, but Impact does a good job in how they present him. And that was a pretty good match too. And everything TJP does is a good match. Like, he never has a bad match.
That is true.
So I was like, so there was 2 matches you didn't care for. And then, I was like, the women's match later was, and I'm not one of those people that thinks like AEW has a really bad women's division, because I don't think that. I know that's the knock on them. But the Knockouts is still a better division. So I was like, the Knockouts match is better than any of women's match in AEW. I want to say too, I have this bad habit of wearing these AEW shirts doing the last few podcasts. I own far more Impact shirts than I do AEW shirts. I just have Dark Order, Anna Jay, and this Britt Baker shirt, and I think that's it. But I don't know why I keep throwing these.
Listen, whatever's at the top of the pile, baby. Whatever's at the top of the pile.
That's exactly what it was. I actually ordered
This is my high school football T-shirt.
I was wondering what that was. I actually ordered a Heath for Impact shirt, and but I'm washing it before I wear it because I don't like the way it fits on me. It's a little bigger than I like.
All right.
Get a little.
You want to hug the pecs.
Yeah. There we go. Definitely. So, but so I'm piggybacking off what you said because there's some people that are just they're gonna watch it and just be like I didn't like it, and there's people who are telling themselves not to like it or to find reasons not to like it. I haven't used this analogy in a really, really long time, but I've used it quite a bit on the channel. Is that Impact is always like the girl who's good for you, but probably maybe isn't too attractive. She's got a really good personality, and you're dating her, and you're finding every reason to break up with her. And then you got the hot girl who talks to you like you're a piece of shit, doesn't know anything about you, but you're talking yourself into, and this WWE is a hot girl. You're talking yourself into staying with them. Like, oh no, I think I can change her if I stick around long enough. And that's
basically Penelope Ford.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that is the WWE fan mindset, which I've noticed over the years is that a lot of people stick around because they're capable of a lot. So they stick around thinking, oh, they're going to change if I just keep hanging around. To where like Impact.
And in fairness, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because listen, when WWE is good, it's amazing. And like here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. And if you're a WWE fan, which most people who watch wrestling in some level are, you still watch WWE out of hope and habit, right? Yeah. It's a habit to watch it every Monday or Friday or whatever, and you hope that it's going to get better, right? And the cycle that you've gotten used to is that there's crap. Then WrestleMania season, woo! Royal Rumble comes up, and then there's WrestleMania, which is always great. And then there's a lull, but SummerSlam's right around the corner. Just keep rallying on again. Yeah. But in the course of doing that, what you do is you put up with a lot of garbage. The dialogue on WWE TV shows is terrible. It is, and it has been. And I'm not telling you anything new. You know this, but just have some humility about it, right? You know what I mean? Like, don't come up here and try to, kill other people who are putting on a more entertaining show because it's not as glitzy and glamoury. And in full disclosure, this is one part that I was mentioning in the BQ earlier that I didn't say. A big reason why I stopped crafting my angry tweet in my head to Peter Rosenberg about what he was saying about Impact, about not being able to sit through it because he didn't feel like the production quality was up to his standard, is because that's the exact reason why I never got into ROH. Because when I first started getting back into wrestling around like 2006, right? Like when I saw ROH, I was like, what is this? I was like, this isn't wrestling, right? And I could easily see how somebody could feel that way about Impact. I totally could. And again, out of habit, I've just gotten used to watching this show, watching this brand. And so it is what it is. And so I don't, with that understanding, right? Like, I'm not tripping. Like, I totally understand if you feel like the production value is not something you can get into. I totally get that. But by the same token, like, this still doesn't give you the right to turn up your nose at me for liking it.
Yeah, like NXT is a product I don't like. I've always told people, if you like it, cool. Like, I know it's a popular product. For me, it is too vanilla. I used to like it when it was the developmental territory. Like, I loved it, to be honest. Like, when Neville was the champion and all that, like those days, like, dude, I had a blast watching that show. And then they started bringing in people that were just wrestlers, dude, and just bringing in indie wrestlers and like, instead of like developmenting people. And then ever since then, it just got like bland to me. I know the matches are good. You recommended a match for me the other day, and I'm going to check it out. But, but for me, it got really bland after a while. But I'll never be like, oh, you're a piece of shit if you watch it. And like what you said with Ring of Honor, I was the same way with MLW. I ordered a pay-per-view, and I was like, dude, I think I saw a basketball hoop in the background. Like, It was the most ghetto program. Like, and I was like, what does this do for their pay-per-view? So, and I'm still like, I think Lewis told me, oh, this episode is real good, like last week or the week before. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give them a chance again. So it's okay to be like, oh, I don't really like a certain product, but you should, when you completely destroy it like that, it makes the people who it's talking down to the people who enjoy it as well.
Right.
So that's unfortunate. Right. Let's talk viewership here real quick. I said last week on the podcast, I expected, because AEW had almost 1 million live viewers the week before. So I said, I expect 10% of that. I know that number because I guess from the world of creating content and social media and stuff, I deal with numbers a lot. And I had a pretty good idea of what the increase was going to be.
Right.
And it was 60, another 60,000 people on Access TV and about 45,000 people more on Twitch than normal. So I'm of course I'm off a couple thousand numbers here and there, but generally that pretty much added up to 100,000 new viewers. So, right. I am Nostradamus. I'm a prophet, but Twitch did peak at 55,000. It averaged, I think, 42 or 44. So even though it peaked pretty high, it didn't come down too low, which is a good thing. I don't watch on Twitch. I know you do. I was checking every 10 minutes just to see what the numbers were. So I was probably one of those numbers that kept going on and off, but I was watching on Access TV. The YouTube encore presentation they did was 268,000. So,
what? Let me read you. So I got the release right here from Access from Impact. Okay. So it says from Nashville, Tennessee, December 10th, 2020. This past Tuesday night's edition of Impact on Access TV shattered Impact Wrestling viewing records across digital platforms and trended #1 on Twitter. More than 750,000 fans tuned into Access TV on December 8th or have logged on to official streams to witness the historic industry-shaking episode. Reigning All Elite Wrestling World Champion Kenny Omega joined Impact Wrestling executive Don Callis in breaking their silence following last week's stunning events. AEW owner Tony Khan, flanked by AEW commentator Tony Schiavone, also appeared on Impact Wrestling's flagship show in a sponsored segment. The intrigue of what Kenny Omega and Don Callis were going to do on Impact on Access TV powered a huge night for us, said Impact Executive Vice President Scott D'Amore. According to Nielsen TV ratings, 244,342 tuned into the 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. repeat. The usual 8 p.m. TV live stream on Twitch peaked at 55,396 with an average of 42,953 viewers for the 2-hour show's duration. Impact was the 4th largest Twitch stream of the day. The live NFL game, which went head-to-head with Impact, peaked at just over 30,000. So they beat the NFL on Twitch. Special encore presentations on Facebook and YouTube pages added 68,918 and 268,414 viewers respectively to the public television audience. The show trended in the top 15 on YouTube, and Impact Plus recorded record peak concurrent views. Okay. In addition to this is more, but the point is they did pretty great numbers.
Yeah, you really took the wind out of my sail because these were all numbers I was getting into, but
I'm sorry.
It made it sound so much more official reading the article.
I'm sorry.
So even though I said 100,000 live viewers, that's before I knew they were going to do the YouTube stuff. They streamed it on Facebook, and it got. I don't know if you read the Facebook number.
Did you know all this before? I didn't know this until right now when I was reading this.
Oh yeah, that's what I was getting into.
Oh, okay.
So, but the Facebook stream got like almost 69,000. Facebook streaming numbers are bullshit, though. I'm not saying it's all 69,000 bullshit, but you scroll down a video, and if you hit it for 5 seconds, it's going to count as a view. So Facebook numbers very skewed. But then, like I said, YouTube 268. The Kenny Omega did, I think 200,000 on Facebook. 300. I wrote 342. I know it's not 342. It must have been 342,000 on YouTube and then 219,000 on Twitter. So when you're adding it all up, 6,500, Scott Demore said in the article, he feels that it was about 75. I said 6,500, 750,000. That's very much very different than 6,500. That he felt it was a representation of unique views. So he understands there's probably some people that doubled up on some of those platforms.
Right.
I wouldn't say it was probably not that close to 750 because there's probably more double hits than people realized. And even YouTube, you log off, log on, it counts as two. So, but overall, the numbers are really good. It is shatter numbers. And it's cool because if you think of the Slammiversary time frame, they were breaking all their social numbers then too. My opinion on that's a little bit different because they were breaking YouTube numbers because they were posting so much old content that month for Slammiversary because they were trying to tease who would show up. It wasn't based on the current product whatsoever. They were very empty clicks. These weren't so empty clicks. These were people actually tuning into Impact to see what was going on. And it's a numbers game. So there's going to be some people who don't want to tune in next week. And then there's going to be some that tune in. It's important that they find a way to keep these people, unlike with Slammiversary, because there was no plan after Slammiversary. I'm sure there was a plan, but it wasn't executed or did not execute the way that they expected it to, because you bring EC3, who we learned very quickly isn't going to be there very long. You've got Heath doing an angle that he's not even signed. The Motor City Machine Guns, it came out that they weren't even signed. So it was like, okay, so it was all that for the Good Brothers and Brian Myers.
Right, yeah.
And Eric Young, too. But, what did you think about this Kenny Omega segment, though? I'll kind of start, though. First of all, the way it started with Rich Swann being blocked off, Lewis made a point, like usually you get blocked from entering a building, not from exiting, but it's whatever. But I like that a lot. The Swann thing where he tried to sidestep him. We talk about editing television all the time. I would have faded out while he was still staring at the security guy instead of Swann like getting mad and leaving, because that makes him look a little weak. Nitpicky shit. I get it. But the whole segment in general, I thought was good. There's people like it was a waste of time. They didn't say anything. And it's true. They talked in circles. They didn't say anything. But I was hooked every word that they said. I was fascinated by just seeing Kenny Omega there. Don Callis is such a natural in this role. Like, why do we get that freaking goofy ass motherfucker on commentary? And then, like, when he was doing AEW commentary, like, he sounded so damn good. And then in this heel role, and I watched him on Dynamite last night, like, freaking natural. Like, I wish he would have just nailed. I'm just going to be a heel ass commentator on Impact. I'm not going to be a baby face when Tessa Blanchard comes out, or a baby face for the knockouts, or say Madison Reigns, a 19-time knockouts champion, graduate of the Stu Hart dungeon, like all that dumb shit, man.
Right.
He sounded really good. They definitely talked about absolutely nothing, but they kind of teased a few things, which I think is what they were trying to do. They were just trying to plant some seeds, because from what I understand, they're going to take this very, very slow. Get it out of your head that Heather's going to be an invasion angle. I'm telling you, there's not going to be. Just trust me when I say that it's not an invasion angle. It looks like it's going to be something they're going to plant seeds and see what kind of organically happens. And that's weird for us because Impact doesn't do a lot organically.
Right.
They probably do it better than maybe WWE does, but we just got to let things happen organically. And I think Impact as a company likes to force things on us a little bit. Not the Roman Reigns down your throat force things, but they do force the Tessa Blanchard on us, and they have a history. They force the former WWE talent a little bit, it's all going to be organic, but for what it was, I was really, really entertained with it. I would have rather Jimmy Jacobs or Matt Stryker did the interview, of course, because they like to portray Josh Matthews as this like nerd on TV. And in real life, he's not. I've been around him a couple times. Like, he's not a nerd. But they portray him as that, and I don't think that's a popular character for wrestling commentators anymore. Like, if you think of like Jim Ross and Excalibur and Tony Schiavone, they're not like nerds that I don't know. It's just weird. But with the same at the same time, the way Don was calling him a stooge and all this shit, like it worked. It was funny. Don said a couple things that genuinely made me laugh during this. So, but what do you think about the whole Kenny thing? I don't even know what your opinion is. We haven't talked about it at all.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good segment. I mean, like, did he say anything in particular? Yes and no, right? I mean, like, he didn't say, like, there wasn't like an announcement, right? It wasn't like for example, on the end of the Dynamite show, he specifically directed you to come to Impact, and he said he was going to explain it all. And he did in some ways. He laid the foundation for what the backstory is of this relationship between he and Kenny Omega, right? And he showed you, you know, that Kenny Omega is, you know, do the thing, Kenny. You know what I mean? Like, like, you know, so so it was, I mean, listen, most promos, they don't say anything, right? The idea is they need to get you invested in one way or another, right? Either to like the person or to dislike the person, to trust the person, to not trust the person, right? Like, and so what they did was they laid the foundation for, okay, this is, you know, these guys are unlikable. You know, Kenny is a cocky heel. You know, he talked about how good of a dresser he thinks he is, and, you know, all of that stuff. And, you know, Don Callis came off as like cocky, and he really talked about how, you know, this was all his plan all along. And he's like, you know, did you really think I got back into wrestling? I left my successful international business career to be a commentator in New Japan.
That was,
you think I got back into wrestling to do a podcast? He's like, no, I came here to change history. And I was like, yo, I love that, because it's open-ended. It's not, he's not saying I came back to be AEW, you know, whatever, or
I'm a challenger.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they didn't.
You set like an open-ended goal, and then people were like killing Kenny Omega for referencing comic books. Like, he was clearly trying to open-endedly say that he may want to go just be a belt collector, kind of like Austin Aries was doing like 2 years ago. But just by putting that out there, right? Like, and then by doing the thing where you show that he's tweaking Rich Swann without tweaking him, right? Like, you're setting that right there. Like, oh, well, the Impact World Champion is already being, you know, kind of ticked off just by the idea, by the presence of Kenny Omega being there. So you're planting those seeds, you know what I mean? And so I think, look, man, like, I'm intrigued to see what's next, what's going forward. And I think there is a plan. I think it's a very carefully crafted plan. I think that the next thing that's going to happen is going to be something that that's not going to be, it's not going to be like, they're not going to foreshadow it, you know, like, so the night before the Callis Omega thing on Dynamite, on Aftershock, Don Callis and Jimmy Jacobs were talking, and they were doing this whole little back and forth about Don Callis saying, yeah, my manager days are over. And I caught that. And that's
what did he say?
Like, he's like, yeah, my manager days are over. I'm not going to be a manager anymore. And then, like, when I saw what happened next night, I was like, ha, ha, ha. And so, you know, dropping little jewels, dropping little seeds like that. And like I said earlier, I could tell that this is all planned and done a long time ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the backstage segment with Kenny Omega, the bus, all this stuff was taped weeks ago. So, like, these plans, and by the way, this is great. Like, this is why I initially was not a fan of, like, the idea of dirt sheets, like spoiling wrestling angles. Like, you're taking away their ability to surprise us. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about surprises for the sake of surprises, but just to tell a story. You know, like I said, you know, because nobody's been paying attention to Impact Wrestling, you can have Kenny Omega go there and tape a segment, and there's not like paparazzi out there, you know, saying, oh, what was Kenny Omega doing in Nashville? You know? Yeah. And so whatever they have planned for the next thing that's going to happen is probably going to happen either at or close to Hard to Kill.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think they're going to keep going. And if you asked me to put money on what I think will be the first match between Impact and AEW, I think it's going to be the Young Bucks and the Motor City Machine Guns. I think that's going to be the first actual match that happens.
So if you watched Dynamite last night, there was zero mention of Impact Wrestling except for when Kenny Omega came out. What's the ring announcer's name? Justin
Roberts. Yes.
So he said, you know, he is the first champion to ever show up on Impact Wrestling and All Elite Wrestling. So they name dropped Impact there. And then, you know, Don came out and he name dropped a little bit. But if you watch Dynamite, it's clear that the only segment Impact-esque right now is what's going on with Kenny Omega. Like, if you watched Impact and Josh Matthews every 10 minutes was like, Kenny Omega from AEW is going to be on the show. Like, it dominated the show in a sense, which I get it because they were building up to something. But you watch Dynamite and Dynamite was doing its own thing. And then it wasn't like throughout the show, they're like, oh, you know, Impact this and this, because that's not going to be what this is. It's going to be a match at a time. And I'll tell you this, trust me on this. This was not done as a favor to Don Callis from Kenny Omega. That's a dirt sheet thing that came out from Wrestling Inc. Trust me on that. It was not a favor to Don Callis. This has been in the works for a while. Don't believe that crap. That's not what this is. They're going somewhere with it. I don't know where, but they're going somewhere with it. But I do know that this was not done as a favor. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. The Twitch chats, I heard there was a lot of back and forth, and several people told me the number one complaint people had was Josh Matthews. And I've been saying,
I heard somebody mention that. Bully Ray mentioned that on Busted Open too. He said that he heard from a lot of people that Josh Matthews was like the number one turnoff.
I've seen if someone sent me a link one time, it was like a What Culture video or something, and they asked the question, why do you not watch Impact? And a lot of the answers were Josh Matthews. So it's crazy that they're just not. This is not something that's obviously on their radar, and it's there in front of their face.
Right.
I will say this: I thought he sounded good last night. I thought him and Madison did a good job. It progressively got worse throughout the show, but you could tell it in the beginning. They took it serious and they're like, oh, they try to present it differently. The thing is with an AEW fan base who is used to Excalibur and stuff, calling the moves and everything, and then Josh is like, there's Josh Alexander with a neat throw. And then I'm almost positive he makes names up for moves when he's just like, she calls that the upside down. I'm like, dude, you're gonna tell me the most creative person on the Impact roster calls that move the upside down?
Right.
I think he made up cross rain. Like there's certain moves that I'm fairly sure he makes up. But man, if Matt Striker was calling the show, dude, people would have looked at it so much different. But I'm going to say, I thought he sounded okay. I didn't think it was as jokey as it normally is. Yes, there were some jokes. I thought they were tastefully placed. I didn't think they were pushed. Like Madison Rain said, oh, now you finally have some new friends when they brought up the micro brawlers, like, so that kind of stuff is funny to me, but right. I thought it sounded okay. I know some people don't like Madison Rain. I mean, she's perfectly fine to me. I don't have an issue with her on commentary, but it's out there. It is out there in front of your face. There are people who don't want to watch it because they don't like him on commentary. I saw it on Facebook too. People were like, oh my God, he is the absolute worst. I don't think he's bad. I just think they just need a change, but there are people who do think he's bad. We've talked about it before. He most likely wears like 10 hats in the company, 15 hats, 20 hats, who knows? Mm-hmm. And when you do that, it's always other areas are gonna hurt. That's human nature in the business world. But I thought they stepped up the commentary. They played the hits though. They name dropped Rhino and Rhino was there. They name dropped RVD. They name dropped AJ Styles. Tommy Dreamer was there. Rhino was there, as I just said. they definitely overkilled the Kenny Omega stuff. But I mean, I guess I get it. I also felt the commentary was delivered as if you were watching Impact for the first time, and it almost sounded like they were playing us for idiots in certain parts. Those who, I mean, I get it too. You're trying to tell a story to people who don't watch it, but it was just harder for me as someone who watches it every week. Like, I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's good. And I think that you should treat your audience as if they're tuning in for the first time. I think you got to say, if somebody is tuning to the show for the first time, I want to make sure that they feel informed. They don't feel lost. I want to make sure that they, know what's happening so they can, continue to watch. But for somebody who watches all the time and all the stories, it feels repetitive. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
But it's a TV thing. It's a TV thing. You want to speak to the new viewer.
I do that. I do that on YouTube. I mean, I repeat myself a lot, and it's not because I don't remember saying it. It's just that I know I have new people that visit the channel for, sometimes this podcast or what my own podcast or uploads or whatever. I know I always have new people. So there's a certain amount of things that I'm going to repeat,
right?
Quite a bit. Let's talk about the paid advertisement that Tony Khan did. Very NWA-ish. So I got a kick out of it. It was a little, I don't want to say condescending. It was definitely downplaying Impact a couple times, but I think that was just part of the joke. But then he also said, "Oh, I'm paying for advertising. Advertising helps the bottom line." So he wasn't like dogging it, but they promoted the Dynamite show, which AEW doesn't need extra promotion really, but
no.
If you don't have 100% of the eyes, then you always want 100% of the eyes. So
that's true.
If you're talking to hoping to get another 10,000 people, cool. In the episode, the funny thing is the Dynamite episode probably wasn't one of my favorites in a while.
Yeah.
I usually like the episode every week. It wasn't necessarily one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Mainly because I always say I hate the tag team wrestling. Like the first match was the Bucks and TH2, and there were so many near falls and times where the match should have been over, and they just I'm not one of those that's like every time someone kicks out, I'm like, oh, what a great match, because the match is going to end with a damn finisher. So just give us good. I know you said if everything's a finisher and nothing's a finisher, but I just mean if you're going to use a finisher, like we don't need that many near falls and like super finishers that people kick out of. So I got really turned off when the show started, and and then I think FTR wrestled after that in another tag team match. So I fast forwarded through that. Like I just got off to a bad, but I don't know that it was the best show for Impact fans to check out.
Yeah,
maybe, but I don't know. But what do you think about that paid advertisement thing?
I thought it was good. I thought that the purpose there was to make it clear that Tony Khan is not very fond of this situation. And he came off very douchey. He came off, a little bit like talking as if like, oh, I got so much money and, I'm being nice. My presence is a present. That's kind of how he came off on that one. And yeah, he was pretty unlikable. So, and I thought that was totally the point. Is to kind of draw some battle lines here. It's like, if I'm Team Impact, you know what I mean? I'm riding against Team AEW. And so I thought that was good. I thought it served its purpose.
It's good to see him involved in it too, because he's an influential figure on social media for them and everything. So you want as many AEW talents to be involved in this, because that's going to help Impact quite a bit. So, but the first match of the night, we're going to kind of hit these real quick. It was Josh Alexander versus Chris Sabin. They're again kind of teasing that the North might split up, which I think would be a mistake if there's a chance for them to wrestle the AEW tag team division. I think that'd be a huge mistake. But they're probably trying to protect themselves in case he leaves, or maybe they're just kind of trying to completely throw us off the scent. That's maybe they are going to stay together. Who really knows? But this match was basically just a wrestling match. You got anything on it at all?
Yeah, well, actually a little bit on the, I've been watching Ethan Page's blogs, and I think it's pretty clear he's leaving. His blogs are pretty good, by the way. If you guys watch his blogs, they're on YouTube, and it's just, he does a really good job not spilling the beans, but just in the little things that he's saying to people, the conversations that he's having with people, it just feels very apparent that everyone understands that they're probably not going to be seeing each other in a while, or they're treating, he and the people who he interacted with treated this as though it could be a goodbye. And I was like, oh, goodbyes are generally kind of sad, although goodbyes are actually good, as people are turning the page to a different chapter in life. You know what I mean? It felt a little bit like a graduation for him. And just like I said last week, you know what I mean? I'm happy for anybody who can go get paid. So I'm interested in what's coming next for Ethan Page. But as far as the match goes, they're definitely teasing a split up of the North. Ethan Page is continuing to fail, and Josh Alexander is getting more and more visibly fed up with Ethan Page's failures. And eventually, Josh Alexander is going to lay the smackdown on that ass. And that'll probably be the last we see of Ethan Page.
Brian Myers, he took on TJP. I enjoy the match. We talk about Brian Myers all the time, that he's just good. Like he's a great promo, or the backstage segments at least that he does. I'm happy that he's wearing all black, because when he's wearing the Mets colors, it looks really goofy.
Really goofy.
It looks better in black. If he becomes a baby face one day, then go for the Mets colors. That's fine. But enjoy the match. Didn't expect Brian Myers to win. But TJP loses, and then he has the backstage segment with Rohit Raju, where it's very clear that I don't think it's going to do Suicide, because they already did Suicide with Steve. So I think he might show up in the Manic costume or something like that. But because he was that character on that TNA show that they did. Or maybe he's escorting someone to the ring. Maybe they throw us off. But clearly Rohit's probably going to lose this weekend.
Yeah,
to whoever he wrestles. It's a final Beat Rohit challenge of the year. So anything on Brian Myers, TJP, any of that?
Yeah, again, like Brian Myers, I totally agree with you. This guy is someone who is maximizing his opportunity with Impact Wrestling. He's somebody who wasn't used in WWE and is really showing that they may have missed out on this guy. He's healing pretty good. His wrestling is fine. And yeah, I think there's actually big things to come in Impact Wrestling for Brian Myers.
So Cody Deaner, Eric Young, we were a little critical of this for a while, because we're like, why does he keep getting his ass whooped and not doing anything about it? And they ended up telling a story with Cody Deaner that we haven't seen anything like this for them. It's always been comedy, and I do think they're funny, but it's always been comedy. They were doing Wrestle House, they're doing things like that. They haven't had a serious program since, they had a semi-serious program with I wouldn't say it was serious, but they had a long-term program with the Desi Hit Squad at one point that probably could have got a little more mileage out of it. But all this time they haven't had any real programs, anything to do. They just kind of use them when they need a team,
right?
So I like that the story that they told going into it. Eric Young won the match pretty handedly, and then Joe Doring, he made Cousin Jake look really weak at the end, which was probably what they were trying to do. And then Rhino very randomly comes down with a lead pipe. And I had to think for a second. I'm like, why the hell is Rhino out there? And then I remember there was something where Joe Doring attacked Heath or something. It was a real quick segment. They locked him into a room and they beat him.
Right. Up. Yeah.
But I completely forgot about it. When I saw Rhino come out, I was just like, oh, here comes ECW Rhino, so that they can put him on TV for people. And then I was like, oh shit, no, there was a little bit of a backstory here. So, but again, they're beating up two guys, and then one guy runs out, and then they take off. But
yeah,
I guess he had the equalizer in hand.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But you got anything on that with Deaner and Eric Young?
Yeah, I like, seeing Cody Deaner, have a more serious side to him, but I just couldn't help but think to myself, man, these guys were both in Impact 10 years ago. I'm like, yeah, that's I don't know if that's a good thing. So They were in TNA when TNA was AEW.
Right. Yeah.
That's how long ago those guys were both in this company.
Cody Deaner's done a lot in wrestling, man. He posts on his social media. Like there's times where he did extra work for WWE. Like he was in the crowd for, it might have been Viscera. Like it was a fat wrestler that like he was eating food and he took the food from him. It was funny seeing him look like a clean cut, like wrestler dude, you know, compared to how he looks now. So it was pretty funny. But hopefully the Deaners get some kind of measure of revenge. I hope that we get a Deaners as a tag team versus Young and Joe Doring, but we'll see. You look like you want to say something.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So, all right. So moving on, there was, as I said earlier, they're playing the hits. Let's get Tommy Dreamer on television, which he's part of an angle. But I thought this was really funny, actually, when they were setting up this match, and Larry D, which I've said a few times, I'm a Larry D guy. Like I've when they signed him off the Impact Plus show, I was kind of like, I don't know about that guy. Like he had a fine match with Michael Elgin, but I didn't really see how they could use him. But I've really liked him since he's part of the company. But when he was like, wait, so I can get out a attempted murder just for winning a wrestling match? That's what you're saying?
Right.
Like it was funny because they needed a way to get out of that angle, obviously, but the way they were able to poke fun at it and just you know, how can you take it too seriously?
Yeah.
But now we're getting him versus Tommy Dreamer at Final Resolution, old school rules match. Like here we go again with this shit. It means nothing at this point, these old school rules matches, but
my guess is that this match will have a lot of tope suicidas.
Yeah.
A lot of hurricane ranas and potentially some nachos grande as well.
You see Sammy Callahan's hat said tope suicida on the back?
Yeah, I did.
I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But you got anything on this? Larry D is going to win the match at Final Resolution because that's the only way.
As he should.
Yeah.
As he should.
You got anything on there? No.
That's it. I mean, you covered it. Like it's just, you know, they're continuing the. I will say this though, I like building to something without having them do in-ring promos or a match run in. Like it's a creative way to move your story along. This is a way to get to one match, and it's cool, right? You know what I mean? It's one match with a story, which is great. So how many times do we get one match without a story? And it's just like, why are we watching this? So
yeah, I was definitely worried about how they were going to transition Triple XL out of Wrestle House and out of this angle. Rosemary's probably the one
being that Tommy Dreamer's still involved, it's still kind of indirectly Wrestle Housey.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because Rosemary's probably the one who ordered the hit, and they don't even act like she had anything to do with it anymore. But speaking of Rosemary, her and Taya, I was thinking this episode, Taya has a great smile, man. Like that thing like lights up that dark ass arena.
Taya has a lot of great things.
So listen. But we got her and Rosemary against Deonna Purrazzo and Kimberly. I thought this was a good match for them to have on the episode. This is the biggest tag team match they could have had. And we don't get much of this. That's right. They took Su Yung out. That's what it was. I didn't expect Deonna and Kimber to win this match because they don't need those titles. I'm sure Kimberly could benefit from it quite a bit, but they don't really need him for the angle that they're doing with Su Yung. So didn't expect him to win, but enjoyed the match. And Impact is definitely very heel heavy in the knockouts division. These matches are all heel versus heel, but I like this quite a bit. And they won, of course, so they're going to advance against, I think it's Kiera and Tasha. I think that's who they advance against.
Yeah, I got to see the bracket. I'm not sure who they got next, but that would make sense.
This bracket every week, so.
Is Tenille still in it? I don't even know. I don't even know anymore.
Anything on knockouts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was solid, man. I thought it was a really nice showing for Taya and Rosemary. You know, to me, Taya is one of the top talents in the world. Honestly, she really is. She can do so much, like character-wise, wrestling-wise. She can do so much. And I think, you know, Rosemary was so promising at a time.
Yeah, you're right.
So we know that the potential is there for Rosemary to be something pretty great. And tonight I felt like in this episode felt like a glimpse of the Rosemary that we could have. And I think the Rosemary Taya partnership, it goes really well together. And yeah, I mean, I think that I thought this was good. I was a big fan of this. Deonna Purrazzo can wrestle, man. Like, people can say what they want about anything. Like, you know, I'll just leave it at that. She can wrestle. Deonna Purrazzo is a really, really good wrestler. Like, there's just no way around that, no matter how you slice it. And Kimberly, you know, she's fine.
I wish you don't understand how much it bugs me that their outfits are so different. They're so different. Now if you look at Taya and Rosemary, it's different because they're completely different characters. But you know, being that Kim is kind of like the lackey, like I just feel like they should like semi look like each other. But they look, I don't know.
Yeah, right. There should be some sort of consistency, coordination,
right,
in the outfits. Like Taya and Rosemary, they both had the lime green. Taya was all lime green, and Rosemary had like the lime green accents around her, whatever that is that she's wearing. Like, so, so yeah, I mean, it makes them look like a team. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yes, coordinate.
I had to laugh because they almost went through a whole episode without Josh letting us know Madison's achievements, her resume in wrestling. And he goes, Madison Rayne, you was a 5-time Knockouts champion, 2 times Knockouts tag team champion. You've been in the ring with all these women. And I'm like, she didn't wrestle any of these people when she was the champion.
Right.
You know, and she did it. He did it last week too. He's like, Madison Rayne, you're 5-time Knockouts champion. No, you said traveling the world is 5 times Knockouts champion, 2 times Knockouts tag team champion. You've been in the ring with Renee Michelle and Killer Kelly. Like, no, she hasn't. Maybe she has, but not when she was. It had nothing to do with her having TNA titles.
Right.
I think he just wants to let us know her. I used to hate that about JBL back in the day. Like, he just always, all right, 5-time Intercontinental champion. I mean, dude, every time someone stepped out, every time, dude. Mr. Money in the Bank 2001. Oh my God, dude.
It makes sense though if you think about it, right? Because again, think about for the first time watcher, right? Like, you need to validate that this person is important, right? Yeah. This person is worth watching. So that's why you do that. But for those of us who have seen it all, you're like, I know, we get it.
So speaking about the knockouts, I get on this show a lot, and I'm always talking how much I love the Tenille Dashwood gimmick. Everyone knows I love Alicia Edwards, and I couldn't be happier that they were teaming up together. And I was like, finally, they give Alicia something to do. I thought she played that role of like little lackey, little tag along, like perfect. I was like, dude, I like this. I dig it. They were so close to her doing her own thing, and they brought her back to just being Eddie Edwards' wife.
Yeah.
And even Tenille was kind of like, you know, I have a team name, the Influencers. Just like, be perfect. Now maybe they're gonna find a way to introduce a replacement, and that's gonna be her part, and they're the Influencers. You know, I can see something like that happening, but I hope something like that happens, because what a wasted opportunity to use that name. But I was upset, dude. I'm because I'm so like invested in that gimmick and in Alicia as a wrestler, and I bought a stupid amount of Alicia merchandise. That
I'm about to say that's a poor investment.
So, you know,
a poor investment.
I got a stupid amount coming here pretty soon. I'll show it off on the show. But man, I was just like, God, she went right back to being Eddie's wife, dude. Like, and I know I get she's his wife, but they gotta like find a lane for her, man. Like, I was so mad. I know that's
Yeah, you on that island by yourself, bro. I don't know. I can't. I mean, like, I again, like, I don't know. To me, like, Alicia, she just does not come off to me like a fighter. She comes off as like a potentially crazy person. You know, I mean, like, like that's fine. But I just, I don't like look. I don't. I've seen her in the ring plenty of times, and she never looks like she's gonna beat anybody up. Like, she looks like, you know, again, like, you know, she looks like she would fight you but get her ass kicked. And that's exactly what you see from her. You know what I mean? Like she's not afraid of you, like Rockstar Spud, right? Like,
yeah, true.
Not like I'm not afraid of you, but you're probably gonna kick my ass, right? Like that's what I see when I see Alicia. So I don't know, man. I don't see what's more there. You know what I mean?
I get, but I mean, her putting her as a little like sidekick of Tenille would have just been a good role for her. She didn't have to wrestle that much. Like, it was just a good role. Now you put her back.
The perfect role for Alicia is being that person that talks shit to get somebody else in the fights. Like, she come out and like talk mad junk to get somebody into a fight and then run away and let somebody else, you know, do all the fighting.
Right. But I like the segment they did with her saying I didn't come alone this time, and Eddie came out. Like, I thought that was all pretty cool.
But see, that's exactly what I'm talking. That is the perfect role, right? You like got there, run her mouth, and then her boyfriend, boom.
I just mean
that's the perfect role for Alicia.
After this, Eddie is gonna go on and wrestle whoever, and she's gonna be right back to like, the hell do I do now? Yes. You know, could have had this angle, but you know.
I mean, just let her be his valet. You know what I mean? She doesn't like come out with him consistently, but because, you know, I guess she wants to have her own character. They want her to have her own character. But to me, she has more value as like really being attached to his act than as a solo act.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the main event here, and then we're going to get into some listener comments and questions. But it was Chris Bay and Moose versus Rich Swann and Willie Mack. And I guess it was good. Like, at this point of the show, I was kind of looking forward to the Kenny stuff, so I was not really locked in and engaged with it. But it was good to see Chris Bay, because Chris Bay and Moose. So I think what I like with Moose, this whole thing where he's like continually knocking Willie Mack out. Like, I think that's like really, really cool.
What you got against Willie Mack?
No, I don't, but it's just like, I don't know, like, it's definitely building what am I thinking for Willie? What's that word? Sympathy for Willie Mack. You know what I mean? So I think it's doing a good job of getting Moose over as a heel and Willie Mack, you know, as a babyface. And it could be that we're trying to get the sympathy for Willie Mack, and then he's going to turn on Rich like, you know, people expect him to do before. You know, that's a possibility.
Could be,
because much like I say with Alicia, like, Willie Mack is also someone like they got to find something. He's been in the company for a while, and it's just I don't feel like they ever have something for him to do. Like, he's just always tagging along with someone, or like I don't
right.
You know, but I think Moose and Bay are a good team. I didn't really like that segment where he was like, "Hey, you want to go over a game plan?" and Moose is pretty much ignoring him. Like, I feel like the two of them work together. But anything on the main event?
I like this new Moose, man. I said this last week, but this new Moose, he's cold. He's not trying to be funny or entertaining. He's like, I'm a killer. And if you don't believe me, just watch. You know, and I like that, man. I like that. I think like Moose is a person that has a big personality, but sometimes in wrestling, you just got to let your presence do the talking. And he has a presence that can do the talking for him. And, you know, his move set, you know, he hasn't been doing as much of the running and jumping and, you know, acrobatic stuff that he used to do. Man, listen, Moose is taking it to another level. He really is. And so I've been enjoying watching it. I'm a fan. The Chris Bay, I think, listen, a blind person can see that Chris Bay is a rising talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Chris Bay is he's shining, man. Chris Bay is shining, and you know, I thought they were trending towards a Willie Mack Rich Swann breakup before Rich Swann got injured, and now that they're like kind of tagging together again, and Willie Mack is still the one getting his butt kicked, like,
right,
you know, and taking the pins. I can't see Rich Swann turning on him, but it's slow for Willie Mack right now, man. It's not not looking good.
I feel like I can see Willie Mack and Chris Bay linking up. Not so much Willie and Moose, but I can see them linking up.
See, like Chris Bay going to him, being like, "Hey, you know, I can help you break your losing streak," type thing.
Yeah, just like, hey, he don't got your back, and then Chris Bay's over here trying to get in with Moose, and they don't, you know, he don't want to mess with him. So I just see them finding each other. So,
yeah. Yeah, no, I thought it was good. It was good to see Chris Bay get the pin, and you know, that's a good setup for, you know, is it this Saturday?
Yeah,
and I think they put the last one up on Impact Plus for free.
Well,
or am I tripping? The last Impact Plus special?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, because it was all technical. I wonder what technical difficulties we're gonna have this weekend.
Listen, to me, I think what Impact Plus need to do is just keep getting people to subscribe. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how else to say this, but like, they don't have a pay-per-view worthy product right now. You know what I mean? Like, I think that like, to ask people to pay to subscribe to the Impact Plus specials, which are just more like long episodes of Impact, I don't know if that's fair. You know what I mean? I think you can do a lot more goodwill by just putting some wrestling out there on your app. You'll push people to the app to subscribe just to see it, and, you know, then charge them for something good later. You know what I mean? Or step into the damn, you know, 21st century and put your pay-per-views on the app, just like WWE does.
God, even Ring of Honor can do it. Isn't Ring of Honor Club have it on? I think you have to pay for it still, but they offer you a discount if you're a subscriber.
Yeah, to me that would make sense.
See, and that right there. Even if you have to order it on pay-per-view or on Fight TV, you know, they say if you're part of Honor Club, you get a discount. I think it's 10% or something like that. But
yeah,
you know, so
I've gotten used to ordering on Fight TV, by the way, and I really like the Fight TV experience. I think I'm gonna go with that from now on.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
that's where I get it too, actually. All right, so we're gonna go. I'm gonna hit you with we're just fans. I don't know why I say fan, listener comments first, and then we're gonna get into a couple questions. But I'm just gonna kind of hit on some comments here that I like.
Let's do it.
So Christopher Bell said, love how real these two are. Used to be a huge Impact fan from 2006 to 2012, then gradually fell off. Hope Impact becomes big again. So thank you for saying we love how real we are. Every time I get that kind of comment, that kind of feedback, I appreciate. I know TW appreciates it too, because we're trying to give it a honest feedback, not let's kiss their ass for an hour and 20 minutes. And say everything's rainbows and roses. You know what I mean? So if it's
you're like real, speak for yourself, brother. I'm on the juice.
Yeah, there we go. It's as I always say, if it's good, we're gonna say it's good. If it's bad, we're gonna say it's bad. Darlene Bimbai said, "I really like both of your honest takes on Impact as a whole. Great points. As a huge AEW fan, you gained a new subscriber, so love that." And she's been leaving some good comments lately. Critical Sting always has something good to say. I'm surprised you guys didn't say Philadelphia when it came to places Impact should visit when touring as an option. From what I remember, they were really engaged and knew the talent. Something as small as the crowd chanting Thick Mama Pump when Jordan Grace came out said a lot, in my opinion. I forgot about they did do a show there.
They did.
It always seems like those...
and I don't remember being especially impressed with the crowd. I'm not gonna lie, I don't.
Say that again.
They did an episode of Impact from the 2300 arena, I believe, and I don't remember being especially impressed with the crowd.
I can't. Yeah, you know what? I can't remember. You're right. I don't quite remember. I think when they had RVD and all that out there, you know, they were into it, but I don't quite remember. But yeah, I thought maybe it was an Impact Plus, but you're right. They did episodes of Impact there.
I will say this though. I feel like and I touched on this last week. We're going to step back at the end of this year and take a look back at the year Impact has had. And I think that when Impact gets back to having an audience, I think it's going to be a different story. I really do.
I do too. I think guys like the Good Brothers are going to help with the drawing power a little bit. Vonville said the reason I enjoy the Cool Factor over other podcasts is how critical of the product you are. I view it the same way. One thing Impact needs to do is start promoting during the show is Sling TV to bring in viewers. Access is part of Sling TV's basic package and how I'm able to watch it. That's how I watch it as well. I watch Access TV via Sling TV. And I remember years ago, they used to always put out a graphic, or if you go to the website, they would let you know every way that you could watch it, what channel it was on what packages and all that. So, yeah.
Well, listen, buddy, Sling TV needs to cut that check. If Sling TV, any mention of another product is advertising. That's the way advertising works. So if we have, 500 viewers, 500 weekly viewers of this product, then we go to advertisers. We say, hey, we can get your product in front of 500 eyeballs a week. What's that worth to you? Right. And then they'll pay us X. And then we'll be like, man, I sure do love my LG television.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
This thing, the picture on this thing is phenomenal, right? So,
but Sling TV does have an affiliate program. I mean, they easily could promote them and get monetary gain off it. $316 said, yo, shout out to TW. I've been waiting all my life as a wrestling fan for an era like this, which is the golden age of black wrestling, and I'm 100% here for it all. So
right. It's a new day. Yes, It is.
So we had that all black main event. We talked about that last week. He said Impact TNA has always been ahead of the curve on appealing to black wrestling fans. WWE had to practically be bullied into it. I don't think that Impact gets enough credit for it. Totally agree. That is
100% facts. Is Bobby Lashley a 2-time, 3-time TNA wrestling champion? And he wasn't just a 2 or 3-time champion. He's beaten the best of the best. Like, he's won in main events against the Golden Boys, against Drew McIntyre, against EC3. He's won the big pay-per-views against the big names. So Impact Wrestling has definitely been ahead of the game with treating black champions like real champions. One of my biggest beefs, WWE had the Kofi Mania, where Kofi won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 35 or whatever it was in New York, and they let him have the title for 6 months and didn't do shit with him. And I was like, man, why would you do this? Like, why would you give this man the WWE Championship for 6 months, do nothing with him, and then have him lose it the way he did? Like, that was
who?
So, yes. Kofi Kingston won the WWE Championship, and it was the greatest moment in WWE history. I will take on all challengers who dispute me on that.
Yeah. Okay, so got a couple questions right here. Critical Sting again said, I know you guys don't want to spend too much time reflecting on the past, but hearing BQ talk about how talent used to be here one set of tapings, then gone the next set, like Taryn Terrell, Low Key, Tyrus, made me think about the hell. Oh, it makes me think about the hell that was GFW Impact in 2017. For all its faults, what would you say was the best aspect of Impact in 2017? So he's talking about the GFW era and kind of, I guess, probably transitioning into being the company being purchased and everything. And that one's probably kind of putting you on the spot. So I'll just kind of answer it first. I didn't think anything was good about the GFW era that they did. I liked the Global Force Wrestling Amped show. I watched those and I liked them. I thought the ring looked good with the green ropes, but on Impact it didn't. I think maybe just because it was on the 6-sided ring, it looked dumb. I think the one good thing about it was that Jeff was constantly bringing in new names and new faces, and I thought that was kind of cool. Just because we didn't know who was coming. That's why I'm like, I was at the very, very first episode where they had, it wasn't the GFW era, but it's when they branded to Impact and, Reno Scum came out. Like, that's why I'm hooked to them now, because I was there in the arena and they were the first new team that came out that I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I like him for that reason. But I think I like that he was aggressive in trying to bring in new names and faces, and I thought that was fun. But the overall show was it got like stupid bad, almost to where I wanted to retire from doing the Impact Lounge, dude. Like my traffic went down considerably during that time.
Did it really?
Yeah, when they rebranded to Global Force Wrestling, because GFW in the social media world doesn't get a lot of hits and a lot of YouTube searches, where TNA did. So it was just like it hurt my channel a lot, and really pissed me off in the process. But did you think, do you have much recollection about that time and what you thought was, maybe?
Yeah. So I actually I wrote a review of Slammiversary 2017 for ESPN.com. If you go to the ESPN website and you look on the WWE tab, if you search the Slammiversary 2017, I wrote a review for that show. But so there was good and bad things about the Jarrett era. So for one thing Jarrett did so well is he's a people person, you could tell, because he's so good at bringing people. Like, he brought in, names that made people interested. He did a great job creating buzz, generating buzz and interest. He brought in Cody Rhodes, with the GFW, whatever intercontinental title thing that he had at the moment, back when Cody was still trying to figure out what it was he was doing. And, so he did a great job creating some buzz around like a product that was just, had been rendered lifeless to that point. And he brought some semblance of stability, which was quickly revealed to be instability. And there was a plan all along. The plan all along was for TNA to be absorbed by Global Force Wrestling. And if you look at Slammiversary 2017, they told that story. Now, as someone who, was a TNA fan, I did not like that story. I didn't like the idea of TNA being absorbed by Global Force. I hated the green ropes. I hated it. I hated Alberto El Patron as champion. I didn't like the idea of him beating Bobby Lashley. Like, I did not like Green Eggs and Ham, Sam I Am. I did not like that. So I didn't like it. But what I did like, when I stepped back and I thought about it, they told a conclusive story. If somebody were to look up in 20 years and say, what happened to TNA wrestling, you could point back to Slammiversary 2017 and go, oh, that was the story of the end of TNA and the birth of GFW. And so they actually did a really good job in doing that, instead of just doing what ultimately happened, right? Which was we're Global Force one day, and then we realized Jeff Jarrett is just not who we thought he was. And, now we're not Global Force. Just kidding. We're TNA again. And so, it was a lot, man. It was a lot. It was a lot for everyone to go through. And to be honest, that really had me on the ropes as a TNA fan. I was just about like done. I was like, man, I don't want to keep being a fan of this product and just having to deal with the constant negativity.
Yeah.
But listen, it was a good swing, man. It was a good swing. I think that shows like the beauty of having a Vince McMahon, having one person where the buck stops.
Yeah.
So you can get Jeff Jarrett and harness all his good qualities, but you have someone under control, someone keeping everything under control so his mess can't spiral out of control. Did you hear the story about when Karen Jarrett had a screaming fit on Braun Strowman in some bar?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it was crazy story. And like, oh my God, it was just, yeah. I mean, so listen, whatever. I don't know what's going on with Jeff Jarrett in his personal life, whatever. But listen, it didn't work out for a reason. And honestly, listen, it's all been for the best. To be honest with you, I think that I was not a fan of to me, the Global Force brand just didn't sit right. I didn't like it. I wasn't, I don't know. I'd been much closer to just being like, yeah, I'm good on this. But yeah.
Funny thing is we actually got another question about Jeff Jarrett after this, but yeah, what you're talking about with Karen Jarrett was that she asked Braun Strowman for an autograph for her son, and he like completely blew her off. And then she's just like, basically like, motherfucker, my son is Kurt Angle's son, like, yeah. And it was it was like he ended up apologizing to her. Yeah. Dude, I met them in real life one time. Jarrett didn't say a whole lot. Karen Jarrett in real life is beautiful, dude. Like, I don't think it translated on TV real well.
It did.
I mean, not as well. I shouldn't say didn't translate on TV as well. I just mean like in real life was oh my God, like it was much different than seeing her on TV. I even told her that, like, totally made her blush. But I will say, oh yeah, and then as he left the company, they had that Bound for Glory 2017 was horrible. I mean, awful show. The one good positive thing I'll say about Jarrett is that he revitalized their YouTube product. He had a lot of original content for YouTube coming out, and that's what I'm always saying, dude. They need, not this like, oh, it's AJ versus Samoa Joe. Like,
and actually, that's when I thought I saw your channel flourishing, because he was doing so good about putting out good news. Like every week there was something, whether it was a match announcement or there was something. He was just doing a good job of creating the news cycle. And that's when I thought I saw you doing a good job just following up on a lot of that stuff, like with a post of some kind. And I was like, oh, this is probably like, I was like, them putting out good content is feeding your channel.
No, you're right. You're actually right about that. The initial everything he was doing was helping me. It was when they started becoming Global Force Wrestling instead of like, yeah, that's when like they were just making that transition. It was just an ugly phase, man. And
it really was.
And then when they were transitioning back, like that's what really killed me. Like that shit, I had so many people just like, oh, fuck this product, So it was just the Global Force era. So same around
ERROR.
What'd you say?
ERROR.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because you think like NWA came out on YouTube and MLW as a YouTube show. Like you would think, I'm not saying it's that hard to get a wrestling promotion off the ground. I'm sure it's difficult, but it's like all sorts of independent companies stream. And I understand this was a different time, but it just seemed like it was very hard for him to get that off the ground when other people found ways to get creative and do it.
Yeah.
Like instead of selling TV rights, he could have just sold DVDs like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla did or something.
Right.
RHS Videos said, BQ, and this is both of us, but how do you think about Tony Khan becoming successful with Jarrett's ideas? It was Jarrett who first made Cody, what you just said, made Cody a main eventer. And Jarrett, because he was carrying that next gen title around for Global Force Wrestling, and Jarrett who spearheaded the brand partnerships of indie promotions. Like Jeff Jarrett was, with all the negative shit, way ahead of his time with what he was trying to do with partnering with indie promotions. And the reason it was Global Force Wrestling was because he was trying to partner with wrestling promotions from other countries, and not just bring people in from the UK, but have people come in from China, from Japan, from Germany, from whatever country he could come up with, And I thought the Global Force Wrestling Amped series that they did, it was like 6 or 8 episodes. I really enjoyed them. Like that would have been, in all honesty, my favorite company if that came to fruition. The way that they deliver that product, I really liked it. I just didn't like the iteration of it we got on TV when they rebranded TNA. Like that was awful, but the first vision of it was really good. But it's funny because he did spearhead this idea, and then he left Impact, and then Impact tried to run with it, but they were just partnering with a bunch of smaller promotions, like you never heard of promotions, which I think logistically helped them because they were able to travel and use their rings. And I think they took advantage. Right. I don't say took advantage, but they took advantage of these companies to where they counted on them to promote the shows instead of Impact having to do it. But and now we see AEW's very similar. I mean, you're working with other companies, and then they're the very first AEW shows, like the pay-per-views and stuff, they were bringing in like the Bravehearts and all these dudes from, you know, the Joshi girls, like they were bringing in all sorts of people. So I don't know. What do you think of that? I don't know if it's Khan becoming successful with Jarrett's ideas, but I do think Jarrett was.
Yeah, I mean, so to me
time.
that feels a little like a misrepresentation when you say it that way. Like it's like so for example, there used to be this thing called a BlackBerry, and the greatest feature of BlackBerry was BlackBerry Messenger, right? And it was it was just this open chat that was different from text messaging. You know what I mean? And you could send pictures and video files, and it was amazing. And when Apple came out with their iPhone, they basically just ripped off BlackBerry Messenger and called it iChat. Okay, like that's like saying, how do you feel about Apple getting rich with BlackBerry's ideas, or how do you feel about Facebook getting rich off of, or how do you feel about Instagram killing Vine? You know what I mean? Like it's business. If you don't have the skill set to competently run your business, then somebody else will be there to take your ideas of everything you did good, right? Like AEW right now, they got the two tunnels on their set. Reminds me of, the early days of Impact. Listen, that's nobody's fault but Impact's, right? That's nobody's fault but their own. That's nobody's fault but, Jeff Jarrett. Well, not just his fault, but at least a good part his fault, right? So,
yeah.
When you say how you feel about Tony Khan getting rich with Jeff Jarrett's ideas, first of all, Tony Khan was already rich. Don't try to turn me into the defender of Tony Khan, because I am not. I don't know anything about Tony Khan, except for the fact that he owns the Jaguars and they participate in the blackballing of Colin Kaepernick's protest of racism, which I have a problem with. So other than that, I'm not going to be out here defending Tony Khan. But, listen, man, like if you come up with a good idea and then your business flops, of course somebody else is going to take a good idea. You know that camera that hangs above the football field in the NFL that started in the XFL, right? So you can't.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, man. That's just part of business. So if you come up with a good idea, make sure you have a good business plan.
Real quick question: do you have your other podcast in 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to run through these real quick.
Okay. Cool.
But Saul Valentin said, "Hey BQ, do you think Impact should bring the 6-sided ring? I would like to see it, as there's so many more. See this as there are so many other promotions out now. This would give Impact a whole different feel and look." I was one of the people that wanted the 6-sided ring gone, and I'm not going to bullshit you. I wish they brought it back. It now feels like a bland wrestling show sometimes, where the 6-sided ring gave it something different. So even though I was an advocate of get rid of it, now I'm like an advocate of bring it back.
Bring it back, get rid of it. Bring it back, get rid of it. Like, I think all this just contributes to the continued identity crisis of this brand. I'm not really that much for or against it. I've enjoyed it both ways, but pick something and stick with it, man. So I don't need to have the 6-sided ring back, but if they wanted to bring it back, I'm fine. It is unique, but stick with it if that's what you want to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like whoever you are, be you. Don't be you today and somebody else tomorrow. Okay, so do it or don't. But I mean, like I'm not like itching for it. I don't need it. I don't need to have the 6-sided ring back. When I saw them in the Manhattan Center, it was 6-sided ring and it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was cool. But like I don't know. To me, it doesn't really make a difference.
Our Phil's fan 08 says, "What do you think is going on for Fala, Kira, and Tasha? For some reason, I think he cost them the titles." I just want to say the storyline is the worst thing they have going right now. Like, how come no one has spent the money? I don't understand. But it's the worst thing they got going right now, and I don't know why. I don't think anyone likes this storyline. It's bad. And if he costs them the tag team titles, I will be very disappointed, because I want no fuckery in this tag team tournament. I said this before. I just want a tournament with good wrestling. Don't you know, have these run-ins and people ruining it. Like, I just want a good, you know, so
Impact does fuckery. So if you don't want no fuckery,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you,
Yeah.
there will be fuckery. There will be fuckery. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the storyline is just something for them to do. You know what I mean? It's something for them to do. It's why not, right? Why not? Why hasn't somebody spent the wad of ones and Monopoly money? Who knows?
Yeah,
But,
a wad of fives.
Yeah.
All right, so King Reezy said, if you could make a change in the management team, who would you pull from their duties? I don't think I would change. Now, the management team is bigger than we see it on television. I know we just think, oh, it's just Don and Scott. Like, it's, you know, there's lower management too and all that. So I can't say I'd make a change in management because I don't know enough of what their roles and duties are. You know, I think that would be unfair to be like, oh, well, he needs to go. I don't like the Scott D'Amore character on TV. And I've never liked Don on commentary on TV, but in their actual like roles, I don't think I would want to see a change there.
Yeah, I mean, I was, you know, I'm not, I don't think we can say that, you know, Scott D'Amore, Don Callis needs to change management. Like, we just talked about again, like, you know, sometimes you got to take a step back and look at the forest and not the tree that's right in front of your face. Like, look at what they've done in the last year. And if you're not going to go thing by thing, they have created buzz at multiple times. There was in the weeks leading up to Hard to Kill last year, there were articles on Tessa Blanchard in The Ringer, Sports Illustrated, and I'm sure other, you know, major publications as well. So like that was January, okay? And then Slammiversary, that was another big buzz. And then just this past week, they have created buzz for a product that was the most damaged brand name in the history of probably entertainment. You know what I mean? And so wash your tongue, man. If you think, you know, that this management needs to be changed right now, no, this is the most stability this company, this organization has had in a very long time. Now, what I would do is they should hire like some sales and marketing people, you know what I mean, to dedicate more time to, you know, pushing this product and getting it more expanded. They should hire, you know, some people to focus on making their stars, you know, more mainstream stars. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Steve Harvey is a partner in Access Television. They should have something where people are out there appearing on Steve Harvey's show. You know, they should have some things where their stars are appearing on other shows on Access TV. Like, to me, like, that's stuff I used to see on USA Network all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, they should hire some more people to do that stuff. And yeah, I mean, that I changed that with management. But as far as like, you know, being critical of the job that current management is doing, I cannot.
I get it a lot where people like, BQ, they should hire you to do marketing. Like, I would never do that for them because I don't believe that the company values marketing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to step into a position where, you know, they have the position and they'll hire you.
Right.
But unless they are like, hey, we're dedicated at stepping this up, like I wouldn't do something like that.
Yeah.
So Vito Scaletta, we're almost done here, said, hey, BQ and TW, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Love it.
Oh, you gotta say it like fucking Lance Storm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
I've never heard him say that, but now I have.
Storm. Okay, sorry.
I did like Scott's little Lance Storm comment on the show, though. That was funny. He goes, do you know any contracts expiring in WWE, and would you like to see them in Impact? And I said, also been a fan since before Impact Lounge was created, so long-time TNA fan. I don't know anything about the contract situation in WWE, but just to say, if I could pick a certain person that I would like to see in Impact, it's Lacey Evans. I think is amazing. I do. That's the only WWE I really watch. Is I watch her clips on YouTube. I think people have a mixed reaction on her, but I think she's amazing. So that's the only person in that company right now that I would like to see come over. Do you have anyone?
She's pretty good. I mean, like, I think Lacey Evans is learning. I gain more and more respect for her the more I watch her. And she's really good at maintaining her character. I think she's really good at that. But I think they gave her too much too fast. I really, listen, man, there's a lot of, we can talk about this in depth another time, but there's a lot of white supremacy woven into the way WWE presents its characters, and it annoys me. And so, like, is it, like I said, this is for another time. But somebody I'd like to see, somebody in WWE I'd like to see in Impact. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, maybe they could make more use of a guy like Chad Gable, that people seem to like. I mean, there's a guy like Ricochet. I actually wanted, man, for the longest time, I was like, when I first saw Lucha Underground, I was like, yo, Dixie, go sign what is his name? King
Puma,
something?
Puma. No,
Prince
I'm
Puma.
thinking Puma King is in AAA. Prince Puma. Yeah.
I was like, go sign Prince Puma, like, go sign that dude. So I mean, somebody like Ricochet, I think could be dope. There's a lot of talents that are underused. They got this guy, what's his name? Robert Roode. He could be a good guy in Impact Wrestling. Bobby Roode.
Oh, Bobby Roode. I said Robert Wu.
No, Robert Roode.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people, man. They got so many people. They got more people than they know what to do with under contract. Kevin Owens, oh my God, bro. The first time I saw Kevin Owens was actually my first time watching NXT, and he broke his nose in like the first 2 minutes of the match.
Yeah,
he still finished the match. It looked like a total ass kicker. I was like, yo, this is a star. This is somebody I want to tune in and watch. He looks like he will, rip your face off. And they've totally just not let him be that. I'd love to see him with the with the wheels, with the chains taken off.
I owned every iteration of a KO shirt that they made. Nice. I was huge fan of his. I was at a pay-per-view in St. Louis when the Cena beat him, and the place was pissed because they fully expected him to win, and he needed that win. And it was like Cena overcoming the odds again, and that place erupted, dude. They were pissed.
Yeah. 2015, 2016 was an underrated time in wrestling. We didn't appreciate it when we had it.
So we're going to get to the last one right here. This is I'm going to read two questions because they're about the same. But Malcolm Lloyd said, what do you guys think about Trey Miguel? Do you think he'll return to Impact Wrestling? Des and Wentz was in the WWE Performance Center, but Trey wasn't. And then the King said, did you see that WWE only signed Des and Wentz from the Rascals as of today? So I'm not sure what's going to happen with Trey. Now, Trey on social media had said that he, the birth of his, I think, nephew was coming, and that was his priority right now. And he wasn't worried about a wrestling deal right now until, things were taken care of at home. He seemed very upset when he made that comment because I think he's put this information out there before, and people keep bugging him about it. Right. And then also the wrestling rumor out there is that he has an offer from AEW as well. I don't know if Trey and Wentz did, but the rumor is that he's deciding between the two. So I don't know. I think NXT is kind of Siberia in the sense that you keep signing people. I mean, everyone thinks they're getting the WrestleMania moment because they're signing with NXT, and couldn't be further from the truth. So anything on that Trey situation?
Yeah. So, do I think he's coming to Impact? I hope not. Okay. Yeah. Go get paid, brother. Go get paid. I think that, if he's got a chance to go to AEW, honestly, right now, that's the last place I want to go. There's no disrespect to AEW, but they got a lot of Trey Miguels. They got a lot of those guys, man. And half of them can't work as good as you. So, I really would not want to see him go be in that situation. As far as Des and Wentz, good luck. Again, get paid, baby. Get paid and figure it out. If nothing else, you push your price up for the next time you go back out on the indies. And yeah, I mean, when the opportunity comes for him, I'm sure he'll be ready. He's a dope wrestler, and he'll make it happen. I'm sure there was a reason that they wanted those two and not him. There's a reason there, I'm sure.
And I'm going to say this closing. that the Rascals were expecting to leave Impact for a while, from what I've been told, and that's why there was no push for them. That we were
right.
But we always say, how come they didn't win championships, things like that.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of their contract, they were not expecting them to be back in the future. So this is some breaking news in the world of wrestling right now. Former SummerSlam headliner Tommy Zeus Lister, also known as Debo, passes away.
Yeah. Very sad. I saw that on TMZ.
Did
Zeus you? or Debo. Debo, rip Debo. Also, another piece of news I saw that in the next Black Panther, they will not recast T'Challa. So, like, you won't see Michael B. Jordan playing T'Challa.
Interesting.
So, yeah, very interesting. Interesting where they're going to go with that.
Yeah.
But everybody, thank you for sending in your questions. Please keep sending in the comments. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this video with somebody else. Thank you guys for being a part of the conversation. We love you. And yeah, keep it coming.
All right. So for TW, I'm BQ. We will talk to you guys next time. Peace.